Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. CM Punk recently shared a backstage video with Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest ahead of the WWE Bash in Berlin Premium Live event. At the upcoming PLE, Punk will face Drew McIntyre in a strap match. Meanwhile, the Terror Twins will face the Judgment Day's Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio in a mixed tag team match. On his Instagram story, Punk shared a backstage video featuring Ripley and Priest moments before the Bash in Berlin kickoff show. The feud between the Terror Twins and the Judgment Day began at the SummerSlam Premium Live event. At the show, Ripley was betrayed by Dominic Mysterio, who helped Liv Morgan retain the Women's World Championship. Later that night, Finn Balor betrayed his former tag team partner, Damian Priest. Balor's interference led to Gunther defeating Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. Freddie Prinze Jr. predicted Drew McIntyre to triumph over CM Punk again in their rematch at Bash in Berlin. Freddie Prinze Jr. believes Drew McIntyre will go over CM Punk in their rematch at Bash in Berlin. Speaking on his Wrestling with Freddie podcast, the former WWE creative writer stated that the trilogy between McIntyre and Punk could be in the books for WrestleMania 41. He said, "I think this might be Drew's match, and I think it might be Drew's night again. And the reason I think that is I think, eventually, Punk will get his WrestleMania moment. It could be against Drew. He could be down to 0 and he just needs one more try at him, one more bite at the apple. And maybe Mania is too far away for that to happen. But you're saying to yourself, could he put Drew over 2 times in a row? I'm telling you he could." Drew McIntyre won the first clash between himself and CM Punk at SummerSlam. It remains to be seen who walks out of Germany with the win. In the dimly lit backstage area of an undisclosed WWE arena, a subtle yet electrifying tension hung in the air. The corridors, usually bustling with activity, were oddly quiet, save for the occasional echo of hurried footsteps. A familiar figure walked through, his presence commanding attention even in the shadows. CM Punk, the best in the world, was back where he belonged. But this wasn't a typical night for Punk. His return to WWE had already made waves, sending the WWE Universe into a frenzy. Yet, what was about to unfold backstage was something nobody expected. Punk had always been a lone wolf, someone who didn't need anyone else to make his mark. But as he rounded a corner, he came face to face with 2 of WWE's most dangerous and compelling figures, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. The camera, held by Punk himself, captured the moment perfectly. He panned from his own intense gaze to the towering figures before him. Ripley, with her dark, brooding aura, and Priest, exuding an air of calculated menace, stood shoulder to shoulder. Together, they made for an intimidating sight, the kind of duo that could make anyone think twice before crossing them. Punk broke the silence with a smirk. Well, look who we have here. The future of WWE, right? Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. You two are the talk of the town." Ripley crossed her arms, her piercing eyes narrowing slightly as she sized up Punk. "And what about you, Punk? Are you here to make friends or enemies?" Punk chuckled, the sound low and dangerous. "I never cared much for friends, Rhea. But enemies? I've made plenty of those." He shifted his focus to Priest, who remained stoic but alert. "I've been watching you too. There's something different about you, something I haven't seen in a long time." Priest raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. "And what would that be?" "Ruthlessness," Punk replied, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "You're not here to play games. You're here to take over. And I respect that." Ripley exchanged a glance with Priest, a silent conversation passing between them. There was no denying the truth in Punk's words. They were both on a mission to dominate WWE, to carve out their own legacies in the most brutal way possible. But there was something more. Something Punk was about to reveal. Punk adjusted the camera, bringing it closer to his face as he leaned in towards Ripley and Priest. "You know, I've been in your shoes. I've been the outcast, the rebel, the one who doesn't fit into the mold. And look where it got me. Main events, championships, and more enemies than I can count. Ripley tilted her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. So, what's your point? My point is, Punk continued, his voice dripping with intensity, if you want to make a real impact, if you want to go down in history as more than just another duo, you need to do something big. Something that no one will forget. Priest's gaze hardened, his mind already racing through the possibilities. And what do you have in mind? Punk's smirk returned, sharper than before. WWE Bash in Berlin. The whole world will be watching. You want to shock the system? You want to show everyone that Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest are unstoppable? Then take out the biggest target you can find. Ripley narrowed her eyes, the wheels in her mind turning. You mean Roman Reigns? Punk nodded, his expression dead serious. Exactly. The tribal chief has ruled this place for too long. If you two take him down in Berlin, you'll cement yourselves as the most dangerous force in WWE. But you'll need help, someone who knows how to play the game better than anyone. Priest studied Punk carefully. And that someone is you? Punk shrugged, his demeanor nonchalant but his eyes gleaming with intent. Let's just say I have a vested interest in seeing Reigns dethroned. And I know how to make it happen. Ripley and Priest exchanged another glance, this one filled with a mixture of intrigue and caution. They knew Punk's reputation, his history of betrayal and rebellion. But they also knew that with him on their side, their chances of success would skyrocket. Punk leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper as the camera zoomed in on his face. You two have the power to change everything. To rewrite history. But it won't be easy. You'll have to go all in, no holding back. Ripley uncrossed her arms, stepping forward until she was mere inches from Punk. Her expression was fierce, determined. We're not afraid of a challenge. If Roman Reigns is the target, then we'll take him down. But don't think for a second that we trust you, Punk. Punk's smirk widened, a spark of approval in his eyes. Good. Trust is for the weak. But know this, if you want to make history, you'll need me. And together, we'll make sure Berlin never forgets the night Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest took down the tribal chief. The camera caught the briefest flash of a smile from Priest, a rare expression that spoke volumes about his mindset. He was ready for war, and so was Ripley. With that, Punk turned the camera off, the screen going dark as the trio stood in silence. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, the kind that only comes before a monumental event. They all knew what was at stake, and they were ready to risk everything to claim their place at the top. As Punk walked away, leaving Ripley and Priest to contemplate their next move, one thing was certain, WWE Bash in Berlin was about to become the stage for an unforgettable showdown. And with CM Punk pulling the strings, there was no telling just how far things would go. The WWE Universe had better be ready.